Hi everyone, welcome to part 19 on this Porsche 912 restoration. It's been a while since we posted a video on this car. In the last one we would have got a lot of the rebuild done, the door tops, which were a bit of a pain. But more recently we've been focusing on the engine. So in this video you'll see us fabricate all of the tinware for this engine. All of this is custom. There's a few other bits and pieces for the engine that we've had to have made. And we also get all of the brakes finished on this car as well as a few other bits and pieces, so check it out. So I'm going to start off showing you all of these engine bits. We've taken them all off, all of the fans been disassembled from the alternator, and we have media blasted all of these bits ready for paint. Whilst I was doing that, Gareth was cleaning up the gearbox, ready to give that a coat of paint as well. Once it was all degreased and masked up, it got a good coat of epoxy primer, and we painted this and the fan in the anthracite that was used for the stripes on the body. Right, next up I want to show you the wiring. So here's the loom that Ian's made. Air-cooled Auto Elect are the company. They make some fantastic looms. This is a full custom loom for this Porsche 912. We've got some extra bits and pieces like a heated screen. It's got a Type 4 engine, so all of that wiring has been made to suit this car. There's Chris. Here's Ian. Cheers, Ian. Can you remove the dusty footprint off the car, please? So Ian, this loom, how many hours do you think it took you to make? Too many hours. Have you done many 912 looms?
I've done yeah, 3 or 4.
3 or 4 911 looms?
Yeah, I've done a couple, yeah.
So you do anything air cooled, I guess, by the company name?
Yeah, as long, yeah. Some carburetors, it's great.
Yeah, it makes life a bit easier, doesn't it? Ian also made the loom in our beach buggy, which was a full custom loom. So the next job is to get all of this loom run. Ian's come down from Manchester today.
Oh, yeah,
Hopefully we'll get all of this done in a day, but yeah, we'll try and get some footage of getting it fitted. So one of the neat parts of this loom is this custom fuse board. It's all 3D printed, but other aspects of it, like these plugs and this relay holder, are all as they were from the factory. We've also got this other relay holder for the heated screens, but as you can see, everything's been left unterminated, so it can be run cut to length, nice and neat, and then terminated as needs be. The other cool thing about this fuse board is that it runs modern blade fuses. So the loom took a day and a half to install in the end, but it's all tested and tried and works absolutely spot on. Really pleased with how this has come out. Ian's made a lovely job of this, and it's made our life easier by not having to fit it. Next up, I want to show you the brakes. As you'd have seen in a previous video, we've had this 996 brake caliper conversion kit made. So here I'm just bolting on the rear calipers and the rear lines because they didn't fit with the 14-inch Fuchs wheels, so we had to wait for the actual 16-inch split rims to turn up. Once they were fitted with all of the brake lines and everything, I could then put some fluid in the system. So the reason we didn't have the wheels is that Pat wanted to change the tyres. The old tyres were probably a bit too big and made it look a little bit funny, so he's managed to get these track day tyres with a really cool tread pattern, and they're just a little bit lower profile and fit much better. Right, with fluid in the system, it was time to bleed the brakes. Now, I've done a fair few systems now from completely dry, and it can be a little bit tricky, but I find dragging through the fluid with this vacuum bleeder to the bleed nipple that's furthest away from the master cylinder is a good start. So what I do is I use that vacuum bleeder on the outer nipple and then the inner nipple, working my way around each brake caliper on the car. Once I've got fluid at each brake caliper, I then do a manual bleed with someone sat in the passenger seat. I find this is the best way to get the last remaining air bubbles out. That vacuum bleeder doesn't do it always 100%. Once the brake calipers are bled, I then need to torque the rear hub nuts, and once that's done, I can fit the split pins. We've even refurbished the bits you don't see. This is the shift rod that sits inside the tunnel, which we've had re-zinced, a new rear coupling and a new front bushing. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is finish off the tinware. As you can see, I've marked out these areas. I wanted to put a nice little stepped pressing in there. I've already done the side trays. They've come out quite nice. I haven't got a huge amount of experience doing this sort of stuff, but some hints and tips that I've read about and watched on YouTube is a good idea to stretch this out, because essentially when you put this step in, it shrinks the metal. So the first thing I'm going to do is put this in English wheel, and we're going to stretch these areas out in preparation for putting that pressing in. So I'm using a wheel here with quite a high crown. That's because I want to limit the stretch to a certain area. I want to try and keep it on those lines, so where we shrink back that metal when we put the step in it, that metal is drawn back in just in that area. So I'm using a medium pressure on the wheel. And I'm just going to focus on running it through that area there. Well, as I put more and more stretch into these areas on this panel, you can see the panel starts to bow and is no longer flat. Once we put the step back into this, which will shrink those areas, hopefully the panel will become nice and flat again. Well, with all the pre-stretching done, it's time to put the step in. Now, this is the first time I've properly used this bead roller, and I was pretty nervous because one wrong move would make this panel scrap, and I've put a lot of time into this panel. One modification I did make to this machine was that I made a bead rolling table to support the panel. This table is removable if I need full access to the rollers, but in this case it's nice to have a little bit of support for a larger panel, so I can just focus on feeding the panel through and keeping on that line. As you can see, I'm going really slowly here, keeping my focus, and clearly quite nervous doing this. Okay, so that's actually gone quite well. As you can see, this is nice and flat. If I'd overstretched it or not stretched it enough, it'd be twisted. But yeah, I'm quite pleased with that. It's not rocking. It is nice and flat. So I'm going to give it all a good sanding. I've got an upstand that needs welding along here. I haven't done an awful lot of welding on aluminium over the years. I've welded on bungs and things like that, but I'm so terrified of making a mess of this. I'm going to take that to a friend who's a very good aluminium welder. And then, yeah, it's ready for prep and paint. Well, there we go. The tinware's really starting to take shape now, and I'm pretty proud of this. I think it looks really cool. Whilst the panels are away being welded, Chris cracked on with the fan shroud that needed a few fiberglass repairs, a little bit of filler work, and then got it all into primer. These are the fancy new rocker covers that Pat's bought. They're to replicate the old 4-cam Porsche engine rocker covers, but they're for the Type 4 engine. Everything's had a good coat of epoxy, it will have a little bit of bodyworking done, and then we can get a nice coat of paint on it all. As you can see, Pat's chosen the blue that we painted the brake calipers in. The fuel tank was also painted this colour, and this colour's actually been taken out of the fabric that's going to be on the inside of the car, so it should tie it all together really nicely. Whilst Chris was doing that, I focused on reassembling all the bits and pieces onto the engine. Now this engine is a 2.4 Type 4 engine. Pat bought it as a rebuilt engine off of Facebook Marketplace, so it is a little bit unknown. I do have a few concerns. The carbs are an absolute mess. They've gone off for full rebuild, and as I've worked my way around this engine, I've found loads of issues with studs and threads not being very good. Here I'm fitting the inlet manifold, and straight away one bolt would not do up, so I knew that there was a problem. Once I took the inlet manifold off, it was evident that someone had been here before. They'd glued in one stud with thread lock, which is what you can see, all the dry thread lock, and 2 of the holes had been helicoiled. So this meant that I had to helicoil the thread that had failed, that held the stud in, and I also replaced the other helicoil that had failed. Next up, I decided to fit this fully custom made exhaust made by Overkill Performance. This is a really nice piece of kit, and I can't wait to hear what it sounds like. So this thread in here had previously been damaged, didn't get it to focus. So there was a helicoil in there, like a thread repair, same as this. Now the hole has become too enlarged or too damaged for that helicoil to hold. I tried replacing the helicoil with no luck, so our last option really is to fit a time cert, so I'm going to do that. Now a time cert is really similar to a helicoil. It's installed in the same way, but instead of being a wire that's wound into there, it is a metal bush with a thread already tapped into it. So we've had the car bodies back from Bruce Engineering. He stripped them all, dealt with some issues with the body on the carbs, and we've now got them in epoxy primer and painted them lovely gloss black. These can now be sent back to Michael for full reassembly. Well, another day, another helicoil, another damaged thread. So next was something that I'd been looking forward to for a little while, and that was the rocker covers. I know it sounds silly, but these are going to look really cool. Now, they didn't come with any hardware, so I had to get some M7 extended nuts, and these all had to be cut to different lengths, which took a little bit of trial and error and was a bit of a pain in the bum, to be honest. And there we go, that is all of the tinware fitted now. I think this engine looks absolutely spot on. I'm really pleased with how it's come out. A nice mixture of gloss and satin black. We've got the blue to replicate what's on the inside of the car, and these rocker covers look absolutely spot on as well. Now, the next thing to do is make the engine and gearbox, but that is going to be in the next video and we'll get it all fitted. Now, the final thing I want to show you in this video is this carbone rear grille. Now, this is the second one that we've had. The first one didn't really fit, but Carbone were really helpful and sent us a template to mock up that we could then return to them, and they would make a fully custom rear grille for this car. Now, some people might argue we should have gone with a stock item, but this is just that slightly custom twist which I think really suits the car, because the entire car is a custom build and there's not a lot that's really standard on it. Well, that is it for this video. In the next one, it will probably be the last video before it goes off for trim. We will get the engine installed. We've got to get a custom steering wheel and also a shifter installed as well. We don't have those at the moment. And yeah, it will just be finishing off the last bits and pieces before the exciting bit where all the interior gets done. So I'm hoping you guys have enjoyed it. If you have, please remember to hit subscribe to stay up to date with updates on this car and a few of the others we've got in at the moment. And I'll see you in the next one. Cheers, guys.